spec-driven development workshop. If you're not here for spec-driven, you're probably here for one of two other sessions, which is the landing. Just very, very briefly before we jump in, I'm going to talk about the survey again. Please, if you haven't already given ratings for other sessions and so forth, please do go to aonativedev.co/survey, and you can fill in the details there. And that QR code goes straight to it as well. A little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. My name's Simon Maple. I head up DevRel here at Tessel. My colleague here, Mr. Alan Pope.
Hello, that's me.
Do you want to introduce yourself, Alan?
Yeah, I'm Alan. I work with Simon at Tessel.
Awesome. And yeah, today we're going to be talking a little bit about spec-driven. Why spec-driven? First of all, what are some of the challenges it can help us with in and around AI development through various agents and other tools that we use. So when we think about how, we talk about AI agents, we probably should really classify that a little bit. First of all, I guess, for many, their first experiences in and around AI coding or assistance for AI coding was probably something like ChatGPT. I'm sure we're all here. How many years ago? 3 years ago now? Something crazy?
Last week, son.
When was 3.5? Was that 3 years ago? It's bizarre, isn't it? 3 years ago. So, yeah, we probably typed in, can you write some code that does this? We copy-pasted it to our IDE. It broke. So we grabbed the exception, we threw it back into ChatGPT. It worked out. Typically, we would get to a solution, but the UI, the UX is pretty awful because we're copy-pasting between. So then something like Copilot came out, and this was really my first experience at real AI-assisted development in my place, my home, my IDE. So essentially, yeah, whether it's tab completion, whether you're asking it to do more complex things, it would go ahead and do that. And of course, there are more agentic style things that Copilot will do these days, but it's the more assisted part of Copilot which I started building out. And then we kind of fell into the world of AI agents. And I guess one of the big questions is, what's the difference between an AI agent and an AI assistant? Well, an AI assistant is typically something that does these smaller tasks. It's much more conversational. We think about it in a more chat-based environment. I ask it something, it gives me a response. I think about it, I validate it, I give it another question. You're not actually just sending something off to an agent that goes away and builds this whole thing, makes decisions for itself, maybe uses other agents or sub-agents, goes and uses third-party services. It's the longer-running, more complex definition of what an agent is. But agents do have pitfalls. No agent is perfect, and these are some of the pitfalls when we're not using specifications in our agentic development. I did ask ChatGPT to create these images. It was a very self-reflective moment for ChatGPT. One of them, the first issue that ChatGPT thought it had was something called collateral damage. And essentially this is when, and I'm sure everyone's experienced this when vibe coding, I've been sending loads of prompts to whatever I want to work with, whether it's Claude or whether it's Codex or whatever. And my 100th prompt, it goes ahead and actually then says, yes, I'll fix this for you, but it actually breaks something else. And it's the classic, well, I've made this work, and that's what you asked for, but I've broken something else. This is what we call a collateral damage, where it doesn't have to be an exception or it doesn't have to be an error. It could be a behavioral thing, but it affects another piece. Another piece is when I'll get to that 100th prompt, actually the first 10, is that still in its context? Has that been removed when it actually compacted its backlog of all my prompts? Sometimes it forgets some of the instructions, and that's because when we prompts are throwaway artifacts, they're throwaway messages, it's just chat. And so as a result, agents will find it hard to keep track, to hold all of these, this string of requests through. Another example of how agents can sometimes fail is hallucinations, and we all know what hallucinations are. And very often when we think about coding, it very frequently manifests itself as a hallucination to an API that we thought existed, but actually it doesn't exist. Sometimes it's a real hallucination. Sometimes it's actually version blur, where the training data is actually training across a huge number of different versions, and the agent isn't necessarily fully understanding what version I am actually coding against, and it's actually trying to hit a different version of that correct library the API on that. And of course, maybe something's been deprecated or removed. Maybe something just hasn't reached the version that I'm using yet and it's trying to invoke that. So this is kind of like a version blur where the agent's training isn't taking into account the actual version I'm using. Stale training data, I'm really sad about this poor little guy. He's had his hand removed. ChatGPT wasn't having it with training data. But Spring version 7, I have wonderful friends at Spring. In fact, one of them is Josh Long. If you don't know Josh Long, incredible Java advocate and Spring advocate. He's actually in the other room, but don't go. His wonderful talk will also be on recorded. But let's say Spring version 7 comes out this month, which it is. There's nothing in the training data, of course, for Spring version 7, because the training data was actually, if you look at Claude, created in January of this year. So there's no way, other than the LLM looking at either trying to find some docs or looking at the actual code in the repository, in its dependency that it's downloaded, to actually try and code against that. So how does it work with either massive legacy or very new things that are just outside of its training data? Lack of persistent knowledge. So very often, if I'm in a session, if I create a session and I get it just right, I'm giving it the right detail about how I want it to code for me. My best practices. I want you to write these tests when I do this, etc., etc. As soon as that session goes and dies, I have to recreate that every single time because it doesn't exist. And finally, everyone's got the t-shirts, yeah? If you haven't got one of our t-shirts, it just says you're absolutely right on it. When it does error, you get this wonderful message, you're absolutely right. And this is actually, I was thinking the other day, we should probably write a little bot that goes through your Claude history and works out what's the you're absolutely rights per minute or per hour you're getting, just the sheer frustration or loops that we get. And it, of course, does that once and then gets the answer perfectly right? Or does it go again and again and again? And we hit this spiral of you're absolutely right until we get very, very frustrated. And then we realize, well, actually, we're not giving it any more information. It's got the same amount of information unless it tries to do a web search or something. So it's very hard for it with the same amount of information to try and get a correct answer. We're actually relying on the non-determinism to hope it is lucky to find some other answer. So how do we avoid that? How do we make agents more accurate, more predictable, using more current data with validation, but also less frustrating, so that it's, we're not constantly going through these spirals or these loops trying to get it to do the right thing. And at Tessel, certainly, and of course at AI Native Dev, we believe the answer to that is specifications. And all those issues that I just mentioned before, specifications are actually a great way to be able to think about a solution to that. Whether it's just huge numbers of prompts, well, put them in a specification. If it's version blur, well, create a specification that describes my stack or describes what I am downloading and how I can use that and so forth. And there's a couple of ways that at Tessel we've thought about this, and I'll cover those. And it really leads into our kind of like longer term vision as to how specifications can change the way we as software developers build software. And the longer term vision is where we write specifications as a definition for an application. So if you imagine an app spec, where that spec defines the capabilities of the application, and capabilities are really just another way of describing tests. If I say, I want you to do this, it's equivalent of essentially saying, I'm going to write a bunch of test cases that prove you do that. So a set of capabilities or tests, also a directive or a direction of how an API should be built, and so forth. These things, it's just a markdown file. We can kind of like describe it as we wish. The other way, of course, is building specifications that help guide an agent to build code. So my first one was very spec-centric. In other words, I'm building a spec, that's the center of my universe, build me an app from it. When we think about specs as guidance, we're talking about, can I build a set of specifications that when I use my agent, it can use those specifications as context to guide the agent to build in a specific way. That could be anything from what we're calling kind of like these usage tiles within Tessel, whereby in this case, maybe I'm using React version, 19.1 or something like that, a fairly new one. this would contain usage information about how my LLM should use this library. And this can continue into maybe its guidance around how my organization sets out its security policy, or ways in which I want you to use TypeScript and ways in which I don't want you to use TypeScript, your coding best practices and so forth. So there's a bunch of specifications that provide guidance or steering to applications. And during this hands-on workshop, we're going to go through a bunch of that, and I'll give you a very, very brief demo of Tessel, which will actually show you the power in which, using these specifications, we can guide those agents. And then I'll pass over to Alan. Actually, let me jump through that. And then I'll pass over to Alan, who will talk you through what we're going to do in this workshop to actually collaborate with specification writing and then building an application that then uses that specification. And one of the core things is we're going to do collaboration, because we're going to be uploading a lot of these specifications into a repository that we can then share from. So if this gentleman writes a specification and that lady over there wants to use that, we don't want to build our own specifications, use it in isolation and never share, because if you're part of the same organization, you'll have a lot of the same policies. So we want one person to upload, another person to use, or a platform team to suggest and propose a number of specifications that an entire organization or team can pull down and use, so that we're guiding agents very predictably. Okay, so a couple of things I'm going to show you. First of all, I've already downloaded Tessel. Some of this will be in the workshop. If you wanted to follow along a little bit, you're absolutely welcome to. What I have already done is an npm install -g at Tessel/CLI. What this is going to do is it's going to globally install the Tessel CLI onto my local environment, so that wherever I am, I can just run Tessel and life is good. If you run that, I will run Tessel version. You should get something along the lines of a 0.50 version. Now I have that, I actually have a nice little CLI where I can do certain things. I think I'm logged in. So let me quickly Tessel log out and Tessel log. If I do Tessel, who am I right now, you'll see that I'm not logged in. This is probably a little bit low, sorry. You can see I'm not currently logged in. So I'm going to run Tessel login. That's going to send me to a new window. If you don't have an account, you'll need to go through a number of steps. You can create a free account just by either using your Gmail or your Google account rather, or your GitHub account. I'm just going to confirm that that is indeed the code over here. It logs me in. There we go. And from this point on, I can actually do a bunch of private workspace creation. Of course, within, where are we? Within Tessel, I thought, maybe it's in here. There we go. At Tessel, we have a public registry, and this is a registry in which we at Tessel can publish a whole bunch of tiles, and these tiles can be used by everyone in their general development. So far, what we have published are these usage tiles, and they are descriptions of open source code. And what that means is, if you were to pull those descriptions down of open source code, those descriptions they will be provided to an agent, so that agent knows how to use that open source at that version correctly. I'm going to give you a very brief demo of that, but first, if I was just to search this registry and search it for, I don't know, I mentioned Spring, right? If I was to search it for Spring, you'll see a number of different kind of like Maven Spring kind of usage tiles, and each of these has a huge amount of information about how an agent, with examples, with coding examples, how an agent should use this library. So what I'm going to do is, if I run Tessel init, what this is going to do is it's going to set up my environment. It's going to try and download any usage tiles that I require, and it's going to, in this case, it's created it's saying 2 agents need setup, and it's created an MCP client for both Claude Code and Cursor, because it recognizes I have that on my local environment. Now, when I run Claude, the MCP server is there, so I shall say use that, and if I run MCP here, you'll see that Tessel exists, and I have a bunch of tools such as install and search, and these are looking for these usage specs and trying to install them. And what installation means is once it's found a usage spec, one of these markdown descriptors, it's going to pull that down so that I have context local in my file system that I can then have my agents use. It's not something I check in. I would check in similar to a package JSON, but it will be a Tessel JSON, and that Tessel JSON file will describe which usage tiles I need to download when I simply do a Tessel install. So at this stage, what I could do is maybe I'll say something along the lines of create an application that sums a set of dice or die, use dice notation as input, code or create TypeScript, and use the Tessel MCP server to get usage tiles. I could also say something like use the commander, if I was really interested, it might do this anyway, use the commander CLI dependency. So now you can see straight away, it's trying to do a search, it's trying to pull down some TypeScript usage tiles. It's now looking for a CLI, it's probably not going to find much there, but it should do a search for commander. So now it's going to pull down the commander tile and so forth. And once it has that, it's going to do a really important step when it tries to create. It's trying to do an install of that. That will probably work. Actually, I'll just say yes to all. And once it does that installation, there's a really important step, which is when it tries to next build something, it's going to essentially try and identify what the context is from all of these usage tiles. Because if you think about the sheer amount of usage tiles and data that we're going to have, we don't want to flood the environment with those usage tiles. We only want to use a certain amount of them. So what it tends to do is it tends to try and identify, based on the request, which parts, in a sub-agent this is, which parts of the usage data or the context it needs to satisfy that request. It will pull them, pass that back to the main agent, and it will use that as part of that creation. So I'll leave that just for a second in the interest of time. But what I also want to show you is something which I kind of like mention these steering tiles. What I've shown here is how we use these markdown usage tiles to essentially describe how an agent should use open source code. But if I had private code, if I had private libraries, so nothing open source, or if I just wanted to tell an agent, this is how I want you to work, I want to steer it in a way that my organization works, I want to be able to create my own usage tiles, my own context, upload that and allow agents to use that. So I want to show that here as well. If I run something like Tessel workspace, here, a workspace, I can create my own private workspaces. I have a number of things that I can do. I can create some, list, etc. So I'm going to say list my workspaces. This is the one that we're going to use in this workshop, the AIND workshop. So if I say Tessel workspace, actually no, what I will rather than that do is I'm going to just quickly show you what I have in this directory. I have something called an index MD, and let me actually take you to VS Code somewhere. Where's VS Code? Oh, there. Thank you. This is my index MD. This is the core root of where where Tessel and the agent will look for information for a specific tile. In this case, this is my TypeScript style guide. So I want to provide the agent information about how I want it to write TypeScript based on my organization's best practices. In here, I can link to other files, so I can say, this is how I want you to do testing. And in here, I can say what good looks like, what bad looks like, etc. And so as my agent builds tests, it grabs the necessary context, pulls it into the main agent, and builds the tests as I want. Perhaps I want to do a code review. If I do a code review, it will look at my style guide and give me input, or give me a set of suggestions based on my style guide. I don't want a generic output. I want something specific to my organization. So how do I actually use this as, where am I? How do I use this as part of my environment? Well, what I would do is, if I do a quick vi of my tile.json, this is an example of what I would need to actually publish to a workspace. And here I can say, what was the name of it? It was AIND workshop. Thank you. Oh dear. Workshop. I'm going to create a tile which is called /TypeScript. I'll make this version 0.0.1. Whoops. There we go. TypeScript style guides, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of steering tiles there. I'll save that. Oops. I'll save that. Now what I need to do is I just need to publish this. So I will just go Tessel tile publish, and then I will just put space dot. Dot is just the path to where my tile.json is. As soon as I do that, it publishes it directly to that AIND workshop. And if I was to now go back to if I was to come back here and go to the registry, I can have a look at my account and I'll say go to my AIND workshop, and I now have a tile. And this is a tile that I can use simply by going to somewhere like Claude and saying, let's say no, actually let's just do an npm install. I can say something like install the Tessel, yes, whatever, install the Tessel tile, what do we call it, AIND workshop /type. Right, I'm just going to say yes to all, stop bothering me. Type, they're like children, aren't they, agents? TypeScript, okay? Now when it installs this, it's going to pull that locally to my project. It's going to add it to my Tessel JSON, which is a description of all the tiles and steering I want to add. That's where it's doing the install now. And then as soon as I say something like, now, perform a code review, if I do something like that, it's now going to use that as part of my best practices. And so I'm using context, I'm using knowledge based on my organization or based on the way I want something to be built in order to do what I want to do. So I think I'll pause there. I've only been like 6 hours, right, in this 2-hour workshop. I'll pause there, and I'll and actually, no, I won't pause there. What it's doing is, you can see it's reading a whole bunch of now from my usage tiles as part of that code review. And if I was to just hit Control O, you'll see it's actually looking at various issues to fix. And a lot of these, or in fact pretty much all of these, are going to be directly from what my steering tile, my steering information knowledge will describe what I want and what I don't want. And there we go, a whole bunch of information based on how what Claude Code has created differs from my coding best practices. I really will stop there now, and I'll pass over to Alan. Any questions while Alan is setting up? Yes. Yeah, great question. So the question was, does Tessel tiles work with or against the Claude MD? Actually, when we do the Tessel init, one of the first things we do is actually add to the Claude MD file. So we are encouraging Claude through its means to use Tessel. There will be other things that we will integrate with, like Tessel, like Claude Skills and things like that is also another amazing way that can be done. So we want to integrate with those more native kind of integrations so that Tessel can be best used with that. One of the key things is we're not restricted to any agent. So anything that uses MCP, you can use Tessel. So if you're using Claude Code, someone else over here is using Gemini, someone else over there is using Codex, you can use the same knowledge across all, and we'll just try and plug in at the right stages. We'll take questions in a bit. Again, I'll pass over to Alan.
Hello, everyone. Me again. So I wanted to do a little workshop with you and give you some capacity to be creative and come up with something yourself. So not many constraints on what I'll ask you to do. And the concept is Wrapped. So I'm sure you've all heard of Spotify Wrapped, where around about this time of year, everyone gets told what terrible music taste they have. I know I do. This is actually mine. Michael Bublé appears in my Spotify list because the Alexa in the kitchen is tied to my Spotify account, and my wife likes Michael Bublé. Honest, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So what this does is generally take a load of data and then summarize it in a visually pleasant way that you're probably inclined to want to share with your friends, or maybe not in my case. And so over here, what I've suggested is you create a Wrapped of some kind. Sorry, if I dusted this now. Sorry. A Wrapped of some kind. Now, I'll give you some inspiration in a minute, but that's the goal, is to create some kind of Wrapped of this year, because it's about that time. Here's some guidelines. Pick something meaningful to you. What that is, I don't know. Everyone has a different definition of what meaningful is. Write some guidance in Markdown format and build a beautiful dashboard. Now, I think, beauty is subjective. The last time we did this in our office in London, we had a room full of students, and boy, oh boy, their definition of beautiful is very different from mine. I think the key word that they used to give beauty was brain rot. If you feel the need to put brain rot in your definition, then you'll find an interesting result. And then maybe draw some conclusions from this. Maybe it'll pull together some data and teach you something you didn't know. Like, I didn't know that I liked Michael Bublé. And then maybe share your creations. We've got a Git repo. If you want to, you can fork that, and I'll walk you through what to do there. Or if you create something really crazy, you want to come up here and show the world, then you're more than welcome to do it. But if you want to keep it to yourself, I completely understand, no judgment. Here's some suggestions. GitHub Wrapped. I'll show you an example of that, like, what did I do this year on GitHub? Or maybe GitLab, or some other code hosting solution. Doesn't have to be GitHub, could be anything that you can get data out of. Email Wrapped. This is a possibly dangerous one, like get an AI to scrape through all of your email and tell you how angry you are on certain days of the week, or interpret the people that you communicate with in a particular way. That might be fun. Fitness Wrapped, if you're a Strava user or whatever fit people do, you can maybe get some data from that and process that. Or maybe even rather meta, you could do Claude Unwrapped, or whatever agent you use, get the logs of your conversations and see if you can introspect that and come up with a dashboard that tells you, what's your favorite word that you use all the time. I think it might be awesome if we were to ask Claude. Or browser history Wrapped. I did this one. This is quite fun. You can see what websites you go to a lot. You may not want to share that one. That's entirely up to you. Again, no judgment. I did do this on my work laptop, and it was all perfectly fine. So that's not a problem. I'm not going to show it to you. But that's just some ideas. You might have other things. Some examples that came up at Hackathon we had in London. One person accessed their Costco card to see their Costco history and see what they've been buying for the year. But in fact, they accessed their girlfriend's Costco card data in order to see. I'm not suggesting you do anything illegal. I would like to come back to America again sometime. Other things you might do is interrogate your Netflix history, or maybe if you're a big self-hoster, you could look at your Plex history or Jellyfin or whatever it is that you've got data that you can access, pull that data in, and then build a dashboard. It could be fun. Here's an example that I made, which is going to be terrible. I asked for a GitHub dashboard. Actually, I don't need that slide. Right. This is my year in GitHub. And you'll notice it looks terrible. And that's, that's an aesthetic I quite like, the green neon. Not quite this much, but okay. And it's not quite what I was after. I didn't steer it very well. This was very much vibe coded, like from nothing. Total events, how many pull requests. It doesn't really look like a Spotify Wrapped. Top languages. I've never written any GD scripts in my life. I don't know where it got that from. Some of these other things are vaguely interesting. How many pushes, how many pulls, how much activity. I went a bit crazy this month, not so much in other months. So, you can create something very quickly, and it might not look great. And I did this in like 10 minutes. So I would challenge you to spend more than 10 minutes, and your challenge is to make something that looks better than this. And I don't think it's that hard. So how did I go about doing this? Well, I just used Claude and created a really basic prompt. I didn't use any of the new skills that Simon talks about with Tessel, and I didn't write a comprehensive spec. Normally I do. I did this really, really basic, right? So all I did was I installed Tessel so that Claude was aware of it, and I made sure I had the latest version, and oh, that's nice. And I'll show you the prompt that I came up with, right? Hopefully you can read this. It's pretty big. So I said we're working on an example for a workshop. Make it quickly safety. Hit the goal. I'm only going to run it on my laptop. It's not going to run in production. Don't worry about it. The main goal, create your year in GitHub, summarizing personal activity over the last year. It's 2025. I had to say it's 2025 because on one occasion doing this, it thought it was 2024 and went and found all my history from 2024. I was like, that's pretty useless. Some sub-goals. Make a usable example for all of you. That was one of the sub-goals. And contribute reusable tiles to the Tessel spec registry. I just threw that in there hoping it would come up with something. And I asked it to do this in 2 stages. And this is really what you will probably want to do if you're going to partake in this fun, is create a data gathering process that gets all the data via some method and puts it somewhere. And then the second part is to create a web page that shows that off in a beautiful way. I think, what did I say? I said something about, did I say somewhere in here, mono font with green highlights. I think it took that a little bit too seriously there. There we go. Anyway, what did that look like? Somewhere here, I've got the entire Claude conversation. If you want, we could go through this, but I don't think that's a good use of anyone's time. But it literally was me just asking that question. I pasted that prompt in, and it asked a few questions. It went looking around the directory structure, made a folder to put my data in, created a git ignore file, and it did a few other things, like created a node JavaScript thing to go and fetch my GitHub data. And then it went off and created some sample data as well so that it could test the front end. But I didn't really have to do any interaction with this. This is real proper vibe coding nonsense. Inserted 2025 in there, brilliant. And so, yeah, it did it, right? At the end, what I got was a file, a data file, which contains my contributions, Popey, on GitHub. That's me. Pulled out, that's contributions to this very repository, and all the other stuff is down there somewhere, lots and lots and lots and lots of contributions. And somewhere, was that everything? Somewhere in here I've got all of that. I called it year in GitHub. I've got a dodgy internet connection here, but this is all the stuff that it created. Now, it did have a go at creating some tiles. I don't think it was especially effective, but it wanted to create a couple of tiles, one for the GitHub data fetcher and one for the visualizer. I will put all of this in the Git repo that I'll show you in just a minute, and you can clone that and use that as a base if you want to. I won't put my personal data in there, and I strongly recommend if you put any of this on GitHub, you don't put your personal data in there, but, you do you, as they say. The repo is here. It's AI Native Dev Community on GitHub. And we've called it AIND Workshops. And there's a folder here, DevCon 25 NYC, that just has some notes and suggestions for what you might want to do. And what I would do is fork that repo and press the star button so you can join the lonely two people, me and one other person, who's oh, that is quite sad, isn't it? And get this rocketing up to trending on GitHub, I don't think. And then start building something. We could have a go at doing it live on either your or my laptop if we get an internet connection. But that's really all I went through. And it actually turned out I created something. It doesn't look visually super compelling, but I could iterate on that. It didn't use Tessel tiles, but I didn't coerce it very much. You'll see I barely mentioned Tessel at all. I didn't create a comprehensive spec. So what I'm trying to show you is don't do what I did. Like, there are better ways to do it. This kind of illustrates some of the points that Simon was making earlier, that it takes what you give it. And if you don't give it comprehensive instructions, then you get monochrome neon green nonsense in the web page. That's the answer. If you have any questions, I think that was the only other slide was, if you have any questions, feel free to shout and we'll throw a microphone in your direction. But I would love to help you create a dashboard looking back over 2025, either using Tessel or contributing to Tessel using our spec registry. Any questions at all? Any comments? Any comments about my wonderful taste in monochrome web pages? Yeah.
Or music.
Pardon?
Or music.
Yes. No, I can't. That's not me. Right. Where do we go?
Okay, so next steps, if you wanted to go back to GitHub, perhaps. Okay, so the next steps, this will contain kind of a little bit step by step in terms of...
I should show that, actually.
In terms of what you need to do, so...
It tells you what to do.
It tells you what to do, perfect. So if you go to GitHub, AI native dev community with hyphens, you'll see the AI&D workshops there. You can star that if you wish, but or fork it if you wish. And then from there, in the DevCon 25 NYC folder, there is a README there with instructions that will walk you through how to do things like whether it's creating a Tesla account or looking at what specs that you want to build. It's entirely up to you how you want to coerce or guide your agent. Feel free to either use Tessel specs that we have around open source libraries if you wish to use those, or feel free to add guidance as Markdown. This could be maybe you're already using cursor rules, or maybe you're using other steering style specs to make sure agents do what you want. Add them as specifications into the workshop, and if you want to contribute that back or use what other people in the workshop are doing, if you can send us your ID on where are we saying, the Discord, is it?
Yeah, or just come and show us. I have it open here somewhere. Where have I lost it?
Wow, that's bright.
Yeah, sorry. I realise that dark mode is not great for...
Yeah.
But much better, actually, for your eyes. So yeah, did you show the workspaces?
I didn't actually, no. So you saw I didn't create a private workspace. I was added previously about 30 minutes ago, no, an hour ago, to this workspace. When you create your Tessel account, if you do Tessel who am I at the command line, you will find yourself with a wonderful user ID called user_bd blah blah blah. If you go to tessel.io/accounts, you will be able to, there we go. So username here is Popey. That's because you've changed your username to something nice. If you go to tessel.io/accounts and you log in, you will be able to change your ID to whatever you wish, or you could use user_whatever. So if you go account settings down here, you can see Alan can change his username there to whatever he wishes. If you then share that with us, we'll add you to the workspace, and then you can see everything there, including that TypeScript, tile I just added, and you will have rights to publish as well as download anyone else's tiles. So I would say start there. Maybe let's spend about 20 to 30 minutes building the specifications you want, having a look at specifications that you can pull down from the Tessel registry, and then from there, we'll publish those, we'll share those, and then we can start building the app, hopefully using the guidance from these tiles. Does that make sense? Any questions? Anyone stuck? Everyone know what your next steps are? Hands up if you're. Which way should we go? Hands up. Let's try and wake people up. Hands up if you know what you're doing. We have 7 people who know what they're doing. Cool. Tell a friend. I think
You can collaborate with the person next to you if you want to work together and use multiple brain cells in order to collaborate on this thing. That works.
And Alan and I will wander around if there's
If
there's help we can.
Or
provide.
I could live vibe you direct me through it and I can do it.
Let's let the room do it for a little bit, and then we'll perhaps jump into that once we have. In fact, maybe people can build specifications, and then you can use some of those specifications to build that. Awesome. Okay, we'll give 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. Start building the markdown that you want. Anyone has any questions? Throw a hand up, and we'll come by. I'll start.
Sweet.
The installation command for Tesla is npm install -g at Tesla/CLI.
Make it M big. So, when I created my prompt, you saw that it was like super brief, and I'm quite a wordy kind of guy, and this is one of the reasons why this whole spec-driven development works in my head, is because I find it really convenient to be incredibly verbose about what I want to create, and so if you can get into that mindset of you're explaining to an alien or a 3-year-old. What it is you want, or your grandmother or grandfather or whatever. Like, use many words. As I tell my children, use your words in order to explain something, and it certainly makes a massive difference. Like, if you've seen any of the workshops, a lot of people use these markdown files that are quite verbose and describe in incredible detail what you want, and I find that is a way better way to get the AI to do your bidding, personally speaking, anyway.
It requires the agent to know to invoke Tesla, so we give it.
It's not my laptop. It's GitHub that's broken, is it? Is it seriously? Oh my life! Oh no, we've DDoSed GitHub. Is that what it is?
It doesn't. Well, two ways, I guess. You'll see it's trying to read spec.
That's why when I did git push, it broke.
In the dialog, yeah. Plus, if it's something obvious.
Oh man, this light, I can't get on. Do you mind if I go dark? Cannot get on with this. There we go. Oh, that's better.
Things the way you would want it to do. So it's either not. You'll either see it because it's just not doing the thing the way you.
Works for me.
Or you will actually see it in the dialog that it never reads it, or it's never trying to pull context.
Oh. Well, there's another way you can do it. You can, in the repo, if you go to the top of the repo, you can download it.
Yep.
You can download it as a zip file,
Yeah.
and probably
Exactly. And if you click on recover,
that will work.
these are your workspaces. So if you click on that, there'll be nothing in your private workspace. But if you're
It does.
if it's not in
So there's another option: is download the zip file, unpack it,
your personal one,
and that might work.
other repositories for your organization, for your team, and then everyone in your team are organized.
10 stars? Simon, we've got 10 stars.
As long as they're using the MCP server that's installed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and actually,
time
another
next
thing,
year.
What we would do is we would add something called a Tesla JSON in your directory, and that then says these are all this is being built using this knowledge, and so
I'll upload my example when GitHub comes back.
then pull all that knowledge into your environment. It's a little bit like an npm install, whereby you wouldn't check in your npm.
You all.
Modules rather.
Yeah.
So it just pulls in that knowledge.
Oh dear.
And then every time it starts building, it uses that context. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, thank you.
Cool. No worries. Oh, your head is scratching.
What are the chances that Cloudflare and GitHub would go out in the same day?
It wouldn't surprise me if it's because of Cloudflare that GitHub's down, perhaps.
Should all be in Azure, shouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, possibly.
I guess roll the dice and guess which one's going down tomorrow. Sorry. 11 stars! Sorry. Get a bit excited with stars.
Just mine.
That's mine.
Oh, no, mine's here.
Has anyone done any like spec-driven development before? Anyone like gone into writing clear, very descriptive specs? Do you find it like useful to articulate, or do you find it just like a massive waste of time? What did you try? Bit of both.
Yeah, I've just been trying to see what I can do with different specs. So I was trying to use like Claude Flow the other day just to see if I could max out everything and how fast I could put my AI slop together. But then it ended up just that AI slop. Even with a pretty good spec, I've tried a few other things like Gustav and a few other Claude-related frameworks. I just started playing with like Google ADK. I haven't tried your guys' tools. But so far I haven't found a great way to like parallelize everything and just be like, generate everything YOLO and actually get a good result.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's a good go. It's a great point. I'm not sure, like, I want to YOLO my way to success, but fun though it is. I think there's something in getting into that mindset where you're articulating what you want really explicitly and using that as a blueprint for the next time you're doing it. And that makes sense. You end up with a giant spec that you're carrying around to each project. But then why keep that to myself? Is what I'm thinking. I want to share that with the world. And I don't want it to be one giant file. I want it to be broken down. I want to have the little pieces. I want atomic, like that's the TypeScript bit, that's the the Python backend, that's the database, and have all those little reusable components that I can pick and choose from.
Yeah, I think the atomic bit makes a lot of sense because the models, even if you use a lesser model, they get really distracted. And if you don't give them really small chunks, then they can easily go awry. So,
Yeah, I think like switching to a provider that has more tokens is really like a coping strategy. Like I switched to Gemini thinking, well, it's okay because I can put more stuff in there, which is just like, it's like me going to the kitchen trash and pushing it down with my hands, right? At some point, I'm going to have to take that outside, right? I can't just keep pushing it down, right? So yeah, that's how I feel, is I need to solve this problem because it's getting a bit silly now. Anyone else done any spec-driven stuff or articulated? Oh yeah, wow, the master of cursor rules over here.
Yeah, so I've done spec-driven development within Cursor. So I've created a custom mode in Cursor that takes spec-driven development in steps. So like step one is like getting what I want out of my head so that the agent understand what I want to develop exactly. Then the second step is like finding the relevant files in the context from the system, so from the actual code, to understand that, hey, this is the requirement, now this is the code. Then the third step is actually understanding the versions of the libraries and kind of tech stack and stuff like that. So it discusses those things with me. And all of this is like really collaborative. So it's like active communication between me and Cursor figuring out what I want to do. The fourth step would be like actually now putting all of these things together to understand, like, hey, are there any missing questions or issues or gaps that we need to fill before we actually start implementing? It's going to do that. The fifth step would be to actually define the test scenarios and the acceptance criteria that we want, and how we would go about testing that during the implementation phase itself. Right. The sixth phase will be like creating the spec itself, where we'll create everything in a spec. So I would take that spec then and then create a new thread in a new chat, and then I would just give that spec, and then we'll basically start working on that. And this workflow for me has worked extremely well, wherein I'm able to like one-shot whatever spec I create. But it does take 30 minutes to an hour just working on the spec itself, and then the development itself takes like 10 to 15 minutes. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Like before I started looking at spec-driven development, I realized I was leveraging other human meat bags to do this. Like I would have an idea for an application and I'd have a DM conversation with a couple of friends and say, hey, what do you think about this? And have a conversation, and they would be almost adversarial, asking me questions. Clarify this, what do you mean by that? Because in my head, I know fully formed what this application needs to look like, and I can visualize it. But trying to explain it to another human, I explained these applications to people, and sometimes I would end up nerd sniping them and they would end up writing it for me. Brilliant, like mission accomplished. But sometimes just having that conversation, if I look back over the conversation in DMs with this person, I realize actually what they're doing is clarifying everything. And some of these things I hadn't thought of. And even like the viability of it as a project, or the already like prior art of the existence of another tool that already does the thing that I think I've had a shower thought. This thing should exist, and it turns out it already does. Somebody else did that, and I think that having that conversation with an AI or with another human, it takes the load off my friends, and they get less annoyed. But also, I end up with a way that I can summarize that thing, like using an LLM to summarize that, and then take that to the next part of the process. Is that like you do with like the multi-step process? I love that. It just fits my brain somehow.
Got a question over here, Alan.
I can't see. Where are you? Where are you?
I'm here, at the back. I'm waving right now.
I can't see you. Where are you?
I'm here. I'm looking right at you.
Yeah.
You can't see me?
Oh, there you are. I need new glasses. Go ahead.
Okay, here you go.
Okay. He was just joking with you. We're over here on the left, on your right. But yeah, I wanted to comment about that. And like, yeah, sometimes I feel really lazy, and like, there are words for what I want to describe, and I would just like the LM to guess until it guesses them correctly and writes them down for me. And then once it looks like it's close enough, then it can start working on it. And then the babysitting starts. But like, having to think of those words for like a code base can be really expensive or just exhausting. And so just like give it to the LLM, it'll like draft it pretty well. And like you said, like there's a lot of, I'm not like a perfect engineer, right? Like I don't know a lot of the words that may be useful for the LLM to implement it correctly. So asking it to give me suggestions, like the speaker said, don't limit it with like what you want or what you can think of. It's just like, I have a vague idea. What can you think of? Helps a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I find like the first thing in the morning, that morning moment when you're like, I've had a fever dream and I know what I want and I've got to get it out. That's the best time to have that conversation, right? And get it down on paper. I have so many of these like ideas, and they're all written down, and I've got these big specs, and it's just I've gone from having not enough time to write the code to not knowing which of these projects that I can spend the next few hours like actually turning into a real thing. It's not a bad problem to have, really, is it? Yeah.
I think as well for specs that are reusable by lots of people, I think there'll probably be an ownership switch where it won't actually be developers necessarily writing a lot of the guidance. It will probably be platform teams that certainly own it, own the distribution, and possibly probably workshop a lot of the text with various people. From an app point of view, where you create apps that are specs, yeah, I feel like there's a bit of a technology gap there, which is one of the reasons why we as Tesla are focusing more heavily on the spec registry and the idea of guidance to agents and how you actually improve agents as best you can. But also, yeah, when we talk about the one-shot kind of based on a spec, I think that's the future. There will be there is a vision that we're working to, certainly at Tesla, where the point is everything's written down enough where you can one-shot it. But I think that's not where we are right now in terms of what the capabilities are of an LLM. But yeah, it would be interesting to see how a lot of that's possibly taken up by a platform team, certainly for guidance and best practices of development. Okay, where are we? Who's created a Tesla account and maybe a spec?
I'd love to know if anyone's got any ideas, like what are you gonna, data are you gonna introspect? What are you gonna rummage around in? That would be awesome. Is GitHub back?
What was wrong with it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it down. Oh dear. Well, no more development today. Yeah. Create something. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, good point, actually. Instead of a full fork, you can fork it and then download the zip directly and then just unzip that onto your,
Yeah, that's
yep. Yeah, at the bottom, download zip.
I just had a question.
Yeah.
Hi there. Just a quick question. I was trying to understand fully what you guys mean by specs. Are these like prompts, like just really elaborate prompts that are in a very particular format? And it's like a global format? Is that what the specs are? And that's what's helping with the tiles? Is that, I'm sorry for trying to get a little clear on this.
It's a great question, like what is a spec? And like in my mind, I see it as like all the slides that Simon showed where an agent can kind of deviate from the happy path that you want to go to. Like you've got a goal, I want to create this web app or whatever it might be. And there's a happy path to get there, but the happy path is beset with branches off in directions that are not going to ultimately end up, or they might go via a very long circuitous route. And there may be incorrect assumptions made by the LLM because you didn't articulate specifically that you actually want this version of Python or that particular framework, or I want all my tests to be compliant with this company standard, or whatever those facts are that it should have known up front, that we assume it knows in some cases, those being articulated in a not necessarily even a universal way, but a standardized way. And they all open markdown files. And so, yeah, something which, like in general, a spec generally has the details that are enough to try to guide the agent back on the happy path. And that may mean telling it specific tools you want to use, specific frameworks, versions, or other like compliance guidelines based on what your rules are within your organization. Now, different organizations have different ideas about what they think that spec format should look like, but in general, it's a human readable piece of text that articulates a part of the development process. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I think it's funny how everyone uses Markdown, but I think there's a couple of good reasons. One, because visually, for humans, it's actually very nice to look at and to be able to section and have nice headers and things like that. But when we think about how LLMs consume that as well, LLMs love the sections and the titles and things like that. They will actually, when we did early stage testing on how an LLM consumes a spec, we originally did a bunch of stuff where we used almost like an XML format of tags to say this is a section, start and end, and when it consumed a spec that had that level of categorization or sectioning, it produced far better output. And you'll find a lot of vendors, a lot of people who are trying to create a style of specification for their tools use Markdown, not just because it's neater for a human to read it, but they will get better output from their LLM as a result. And I think there's no real standardization of what a spec should look like. I mean, it's all natural language and just descriptive, trying to capture our intent or our decisions that we're trying to make. There's a lot that you don't have to write in a spec if you don't care about how an LLM actually makes that decision or how it will implement something from that. You might want to provide that as context to the LLM if you reiterate through your code creation, just so your output isn't wildly different version to version. But I think, as was kind of mentioned, sometimes the less you give an LLM, sometimes the better result as well, because it can make a lot of those decisions by itself. But yeah, I think the spec is really capture of intent, which when we think about a code to spec, it's very hard in the code to spec process to determine intent from code. Because there's too much implementation noise in there. So think of it as just a set of intents that are built that are detailed in a way whereby they're sectioned, and an LLM can understand your intent, and therefore using that context create something in a more representable way to your needs.
Yeah, I just had a question around what mitigation tactics, if any, Tesla uses in terms of avoiding context bloat. So how many tools are available in the MCP, and do you have checks and balances in there to make sure that doesn't happen?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think as a project grows as well, the amount of context can get massively out of hand. And I think the key is, the key is there's the MCP tool, which is, I think it's called Get Library Context or something along those lines. And what it does is based on the request you make. So if I was to say create a new, let's say I have a usage spec for the Commander CLI library, and I say create this new addition to my CLI, it will spawn off a sub-agent, number one, that will effectively essentially do a research style task, and it will look through all the context it has that is relevant and pull just the amounts from that into the main agent's context that it needs to better perform that task. So it's not actually pulling everything across, and even that research is happening on a separate task as well. So it's not actually using that context. And once it has that limited context that it actually needs to pass in, that's going to be an amount that shouldn't blow your context window. There's obviously we're a beta product right now, so we haven't tested it to the extreme, and there probably will be edge cases where it's like, oh crap, we're way over or whatever. But yeah, right now it's sub-agents and handling things off the main agent, which causes all the bloat of context to avoid the main agent. So if you're using Claude, by the way, a really useful command in Claude is to type /context, and it'll whir away for a little bit, and then it will show you this really nice little kind of histogram oh, here we go. Are you going to do it?
Yeah, I was just trying to find one of the many tabs that has my Claude in.
That's a good question, Joe. Do we know the token size for our MCP? Joe's a developer on our team, by the way. I'm not just asking a random stranger.
I don't know about the MCP server itself, but we pull in the relevant context based on the request. So we're not just throwing everything in the system context window. So if you've got a request about writing some tests about something, it will pull out your testing guidelines, say, but it's not going to pull everything else into context. So you're not blowing up your context window, if that answers your question.
So does Tesla know how much is left and does work to make sure it doesn't blow that context window? Is that the question?
No, it was more around for instance,
early on when MCPs first started, like, the context 7 moment or even like playwright. And so, I started incorporating more and more MCPs and binding those tools to my agents. And then very quickly I realized like I'm getting way worse results from the LLM. And so like something like Playwright has 128 tools that it ships with. So if like you just leave that on and you're not paying attention, like that's already eating up, I think, close to like 50K tokens in context just by having it there. So that's why I was curious, but you clearly have the MCP here, and I don't know if you only have Tesla MCP. If that's the only one, then you are kind of around 60K tokens, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, if you look at my the nonsense thing I made earlier, I have a few tools, not just Tesla. I've got a whole bunch of other nonsense in there. You can see the MCP tools takes up by far and away the majority of the content. I'm obviously nowhere near the end, but they take up quite a bit of space.
If you scroll down to Tesla,
Yeah,
you'll
it's
see.
way down the bottom. But I didn't actually use Tesla at all.
No. So yeah, only a few thousand. Yeah.
Yeah, some of these are just enormous.
I would love to ask a follow-up question, because it feels like you're saying you're doing some kind of lazy load with MCP. Is that right? I thought they didn't do that, but if you know how to do that, I would love to know.
It's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's one MCP tool that's called, and we ask the agent to call the MCP tool and explain essentially what the user's asked to do, and then we use that to then search through the knowledge and pull out the relevant files. So it's sort of a way. It's essentially a way of doing a lazy MCP call with one tool.
So basically, if I understand you correctly, you just have like one MCP piece that knows all about your tools, and it doesn't pull everything else, but it can search and pull it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes. So the search and install will kind of pull all the knowledge down, so you'll have everything locally, but then the context library will only pull then those relevant pieces once it's called, and fill the context with, well, not fill it, but add to the context those few pieces. Yeah. Yeah, because we in some of our original tests, it was kind of, we realized quickly how it blew up the context, and so we needed that research step. Did you want to add?
Yeah, just maybe a helpful metaphor is we sometimes think of it as like a bit like NPM. So you're running npm install, you're pulling your dependencies into a node modules folder. You're not committing that, but it's sort of like part of your setup, and then you import the things that you need. So it's maybe a helpful metaphor to think about.
Awesome. So, if anyone's created some specs that they want to contribute, feel free to put your hand up, and I'll come around and I'll share or I'll grab your username and add that to the workspace. Would it be good for us to maybe do a bit of live coding? Create a yeah. Alan looks really happy about that.
I'm trying to think of a data source that's innocuous.
Yeah.
That I can commit to video.
Claude history?
Yeah.
What's most personal about you, Alan, that we can share on a recorded?
Probably cat pictures. Oh man. Yeah. Don't put me off stage. Ask me that. Yeah, problem is I don't use most of these tools. Like the one main one I use is Spotify. GitHub is a good one, but
We can use Spotify.
yeah, but Spotify exists and
that's good.
Spotify Wrapped exists. I'd like to how about YouTube? Can I get what videos I've watched? How much of my life have I wasted watching YouTube? Should we give that a go?
Sure.
Oh my life. I am opening myself up here. Let's put this in the Scratch folder. There's nothing there, right? I haven't got any MCPs or anything, have I? If I do Tessel init, right, we're going to collaboratively work on. Right, so now, is this text big enough? Do you need it bigger? Is that all right? Okay, cool. Right, I'll use Claude. Yep. Okay. I'd like to make my own Spotify wrapped style page, but for my own personal YouTube watch history. Oh man. I'm not even up to my 3-month probationary period here. Okay. This will need 2 stages. 1 to gather data using YouTube API. And can I get it from the YouTube API?
I think it might be YouTube MCP, maybe?
Web page to show the data in a beautiful way, if you like, framework style interfaces. Right, what are we going to need? Do we want to specify any particular libraries or tools or frameworks? Shout them out and they will get integrated if you're not careful. Oh, pick a language. Back-end Python, front-end Node, something else. Back-end Rust. Let's go. Oh, God, there's always one. Okay, well, why not? Well, no, because we'll spend all the time building it. Sorry? Python sounds great. Let's use Python. Python for the back end. Beg your pardon? Yeah, we'll use UV. Yeah, UV's the best. And UV for the package management. Dependency management. We are not currently in a UV environment. We'll need to make that. I'm not usually this verbose. Anything else? Any other? It should be able to figure out. Look in the Tessel registry for Python modules with specs that we can use on the back end. Good shout. What about the front end? What do we want? Node, I suppose. Node for the front end. Any particular, like, do we want to use React or something else, something lean? React? Not React? Hey, how about React? For the framework. By the way, I should have introduced this whole thing with, I'm not a developer. I mean, that clearly shows, right? You know this. Okay, good. React framework, again, look in the Tessel registry, specs that can help us. What else do we need? Test framework. Tests are for losers. So we'll do that another day. Yeah, I'm kidding. Are for people who have more than 44 minutes left on the clock. So we'll do that another day. Anything else? The UI. What should the UI look like? I have mentioned brain rot, haven't I? Oh dear. Should we see how it goes with that? Build me first. Build me a spec. Detailed spec and to-do list for this project. This is terrible. Like ordinarily, I would have a whole load of MCPs and loads of other stuff added. So this is going in very raw for me. Anything else we need to add? Shout now or I'll press enter. Do it. At some point, I'm going to have to go and get a YouTube API key, aren't I? Right. I'm going to say YOLO do everything. Fast API? Oh, look at that. Found a YouTube transcript API. That's not quite what I want, but okay. React animations. Perfect, says Claude. Let's get a comprehensive spec to-do list. Okay. Now, obviously, we could have used any tool. I just happened to have Claude open in this terminal at the time. We could have used VS Code or Copilot or whatever. Is there a preference? Does everyone just use everything, or is there Claude? Everyone Claude? Or Gemini? Or Gemini? GPT? Wow, does nobody use OpenAI anymore? Remember them? Okay. Project is structured, 2 clear stages. Do it. Has it written anything yet? No. Okay. Do it. Hang on. Displaying in an over-the-top meme-style wrapped experience. Oh, good. Brilliant. Yes, and always create stuff. I worry this is going to go horribly wrong. Whose YouTube account do I have access to? It's not mine. Right, so it's understood and it's using UV. Good. Just do it. I would never use UV in it. That's interesting. Interesting that chose Python 3.11. Where's Joe? Simon, is this what you expect? PyPy, Google API, Python client. Do it. We're YOLOing this project. It's 41 minutes and counting. Okay. Google all. There's a command line option for Claude, isn't there, that makes it into YOLO mode? Or is it like accept all? Oh, a tile has been added to your project tesla.json and extracted. Oh, there we go. Where's it? Okay. Was it just not saved that yet? Was I too premature? YouTube API fetch a script to retrieve history. Okay. Wow. What did we get? We got some Python. Extracted to there. I wonder where that went. No, there was nothing in there, I don't think. Oh, hang on. Is it in the back end? Yeah, let's put it all down here. No. maybe in source? No, where does it put it? Oh, there you go, look, back-end Tessel tiles. There we go. Nice. What? Okay. So this is steering for Tesla. Nice. Okay. Interesting that it says you're working in a large organization. Yes. That looks like a YOLO. You're going to make me run this, aren't you? What? Front end old, front end temp, front end. It's like, I think it's got itself a little bit confused. What have we got in there? Oh, I don't want to do tree, do I? Yeah, front end. I wonder what went wrong with that. Anyone see what went wrong with it? Python back end. And then when it started on the front end, reset false. Wow. Let me try a different operator. So it just killed that and started again. Okay. Fair enough. I should just not question this and yeah, having a nodding bird on my enter key. What? Claude, come on. Okay. Have any of you ever done vibe coding while someone's watching? I've watched people on YouTube do it, and yeah. Maybe that'll show up in my list. A tile has been added to your project. Okay. Yeah, let's just do it. You know, one day AI is going to see that line and it's going to connect to my bank account and just like send money to these projects. Hey, someone should make an MCP that does that. It's like, oh, well, you're clearly using it. You should contribute. Oh my gosh. Creating brain rot style animated components for stats reveal. Good lord. This better be worth it. Would it be alright if I said create sample data for this rather than using... Do any of you do something else while you're doing this? Do you ever like watch TV or like have a film on? Yeah? Watch two TVs? Oh, two other projects. Oh, of course, yeah. Just have it all going in parallel. Of course. Yeah. Have I got audio on? Yeah. Oh, have I got it? Yeah. I have a hook in. Have I got it on this one? Yeah. So I have it like a hook when if I get distracted by the TV or while I'm cooking or looking after the children. I have it say out loud, Claude is waiting for human response. Then I know the laptop needs me. And I have to drop the children and get back to the computer. It's quite useful. The really weird thing is this. You can actually have, there's a bunch of voices and a speech synthesis called Piper. And if you want, down here in English, ENGB is my voice. So this, if you really wanted, you could have Claude talk to you in my voice. Yeah, you probably don't want to do that. Okay, still going.
But yeah, so I initially.
Come on, Claude, you've got 33 minutes left. Well, it thinks it's done.
There's no way it's spent 23K tokens. Where's that speed?
Claude is waiting for human response.
Like that. Okay.
So little. It's like how many lines of code
Is there sample data in here? Oh, it's configured to use mock data.
Okay, let's say 1,000. Yeah, so 1,000 lines of code. You think there's less than 25 tokens in code? I guess it's and like there's no code blank.
Is that working? Okay, that's good. Do we really want to click on this? Press the wrong button. Right. This better be good. What do you think? Ha! Oh dear me. Oh. Is it running on 8,000? Where's the back end? Well, it is, isn't it?
Using Unicorn. That's a good question.
Is it? Because it's not a networking thing, because this is on localhost and the other one is on 127.0.0.1.
Oh, is it 127? Yeah. So that's on localhost, the other one.
Suggestions welcome. I mean, I could. Ooh. That's the right way to do it, isn't it? Expose it to the world, this production code. Oh, no, this is not the one that needs exposing, is it? Yeah, go for it. I will take any suggestions. Launch both of these, yeah. Ah, where did Claude go? There it is. Hang on. I know he's already configured these more data.
This is how you get both servers stood up. And then fill it up.
Dramatic animations.
And then you fill it up. Yeah. People always put this stuff last and then on the left.
So I'm saying, give me a shell script that launches it, and then run that, make sure it works, and there are no errors between the front and the back end. Oh, and run it on 0, 0, 0, 0 for funsies. Yeah, both of them can be on 0, 0, 0, but different ports. I assume it knows that, doesn't it? Claude's not that daft, surely. Right, while that's happening, come on. Can I just use this time to mention something else that I vibe coded? Go here and find nerdy places to go all around the world. And there are already quite a lot in America. And if you find any other nerdy places to go, can you please add them to this website? This was almost 100% vibe coded up the wazoo. And there's a lot of places here. But yeah, if you could add places to nerdydaytrips.org, just a little side project. That'll be awesome. Thanks very much. What have you got in what's that? What is that? Oh my gosh, I don't even know what that is. This one doesn't have a description. There's also, it's all in GitHub. You can do pull requests to fix that. I think Claude's still working. No, it's finished. Oh. We'll come back to that if we have time. But yeah, I'm sure there's stuff here somewhere. Is that Long Island? It is, isn't it? Oh, look at that. Some of them have stuff. Anyway, let's go back to what we're actually here for.
So, okay, I remember you said the NPCs and MCPs.
Yeah, just do it.
So what?
3,000, 8,000. Oh, it's got loads of different ports to roll. Why is it obsessed with putting emojis in literally everything? Right. Like, here's a shell script. Fill it with emojis.
Oh, here to see you about
Yes. Just curl is fine. Do it. Yes.
Oh, no, it's just doing more HTML.
So it's launched something in the background. This is very much, don't do it like this. Do we think that's up now?
Claude is waiting for human response.
Thanks. Okay. It's still running by the look of it. Ha! Did it just kill it while I was about to load it, or did something? No. Is that all it does? Literally, that's all it does. Wow. Super disappointed. I mean, if it could do the rest of it like that, that would be amazing. But I think there's nothing in there. Oh man.
The other thing you could do is if you wanted it to.
After all of that.
You can actually just.
I mean, all of that, all I did was press enter a lot. I wonder. So there's a problem here. Have I got any extensions that are causing this to go horribly long? No. Can someone please help?
I got my spec.
Oh my life. I think we may have been too hasty. And testing was probably a good idea. does, I get a great splash screen. Then the world goes black. And I get an error in the console. Right, while that's working, any other nerdy day trips? South Dakota. I'm not American. I don't know where those are. Where's South Dakota go? Left a bit, right a bit. In the middle. It's like here somewhere, is it? That's Albuquerque. That's not it, is it? There's not a lot around this kind of area, is there? Yeah. That's just like a general statement of fact. Yeah. However, you can add your own. If you know somewhere nerdy, add it, please. Oh, I tell you what, I didn't show you. The best part of this whole website, right, is my mate Stuart added a thing that lets you go. Whee! This is the only reason this exists. It's just donk. That's so cool. Right, this is still going. Fixing. Is that literally all it does? Ah, classic. Is this true? Is that true? Okay, I'll allow it. This is. Has it finished? It says finish. That's what it's doing. What's it doing? It's not doing anything. Oh, it is. It's just taking its time. Right, back to nerdy day trips. Did you know there's a pencil museum? I think there's more than one as well. Look at that. Derwent Pencil Museum. If you want to go to Derwent, you can go to the Pencil Museum. Come on, come on, come on. Is it actually doing anything? Oh, my life. Okay. Okay, so with the sample data, it appears to have made a thing that I'm not sure this is brain rot enough, but it's made with a skull and questionable life choices. Is that all it does? Literally. Ah! Some videos watched, right, now, come on. I mean, it's done something. See, this is what I was after. The animations. Okay. Yeah, it worked. Ish. No, I'm not connecting it to mine. That is quite cool. Simon, it worked. Our job is done. No, it's sample data. It's not my YouTube account. Yeah, I'm not doing that until ask me tomorrow. I'll do it on my laptop. I'm not doing it on a projector. I love this. I mean, it's all plausibly true, but yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. It worked. If anyone has any questions, for sure. Oh, have you not got your, no. You need to ask the gentleman over there. They're busy adding things to nerdy day trips. What do we get?
Test. There you go. Any questions about anything that we've covered? Oh, one question in the back. Oh.
Okay, there is your tile. Did it generate these, or did it get these from the registry?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Except Brooklyn kind of Brooklyn's kind of don't. You're right, except for oh, actually.
Right, if you fade out my laptop, I will go and register and get an API key. Because, you know, what could possibly go wrong? For the hardcore people who've stayed here, let's just do this. Could you, like, hide my laptop and put something else up? Thank you. I'm going to regret this, aren't I? Right, signing to Google. Good. Create a new project or select an existing one.
So if you was to confirm that, then it would say, yeah, you're authenticated, you've logged in, and then when you come back here, it would go, yep. That's all.
Because what I ended up doing is briefly.
New project. YouTube.
Oh yeah. So I was kind of inspired.
Brain rot.
Taking a bunch of metrics and making something out.
APIs and services. What's it called? YouTube Data API v3. Data API v3. Enable. Okay. Create an OAuth 2 credentials. Really? Do I have to do this? Credentials. Create credential. OAuth client ID. You must first have a consent screen. App name. YouTube brain rot. Support email address. Audience. This is internal use only. Contact information. My email address. Next. I agree to all of the data policies. Great. Create an auth client as a desktop app. I'm just like clicking through. Name YouTube Brainrot. Create. Oh my gosh. Right. Okay, I've got a credentials.json. Put the credentials.json in the backend directory. Okay. Oh my god. Right. Done. How do I kill this and launch it again? Let me just kill the other one. Right.
And let's say you have a spec.
I had a launch program here somewhere, didn't I?
Is it kind of do that very predictably, like day in, day out, that kind of stuff? We don't think it can do that.
How can this possibly work?
We think it will be able to in future, and that's the vision we have from our company, kind of going in that direction. But the area that we feel is most kind of urgently needed is guidance and support for agents to be able to develop almost like on rails. It's like an agent can develop anything in any way. We already know how.
So
It's like
I got the credentials file and I plopped it in the back end. I'm not going to show it to you just yet. But I've just told Claude that it doesn't seem to be using it. Oh, God. Open the Gmail app on my phone. Oh, my phone is in airplane mode. Oh my God, it's actually doing it. Oh, God. Bear with me just one moment. I have to authenticate this nonsense. Here we go. Yes. YouTube Brainrot wants to access your Google account. Allow. The authentication flow has completed.
Claude is waiting for human response.
All right. Calm down. After that, it'll fetch. Oh my God. Right, let's relaunch the thing. Waiting for backends to initialize. so exciting. Okay, I told Claude it's authorized, but it's still showing mocked data. So you may be able to show my display now. Oh, God. Okay, it's made a change. Do you want to flip the thing to show my display? Oh God, yeah, it really has got my data. Oh crap.
Claude is waiting for human response.
Could you switch to show my? Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay, so here we go. Is it going to work? Oh man. Right. Well, I'm still unhinged apparently. Oh. Well, that's not what it was. My previous employer, Comedy News, a lawyer, Internet Today, and a lefty YouTuber. This is why I was worried about doing this. Okay. Most active hour, 8 o'clock at night. Good. Active day, Friday. Unsurprising. It needs to pause a bit longer on this, doesn't it? Right. Well, it worked, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. Hey, top 92% of YouTube addicts. Check me out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like that. Good Lord. No judgment, maybe a little bit of judgment. Watch streak, 26 days. What? Longest binge, 6.3 hours. I don't know what we've learned here, but it works, and I'm never doing that again. Any questions? Oh my life. Share your shame. No. Simon, great success. This is my YouTube data. I'll never be let back in the US.
We better
9 hours.
Hey, it's good to
Can I seriously watch YouTube for 9 hours? I think I must. Yeah, it worked. Yeah, this is my actual YouTube data. I'm quite amazed. Apparently, at some point, I watched YouTube for 9 hours solid.
Was opening a tab.
Yeah, maybe I fell asleep in front of the laptop. Well,
Okay, awesome. Everyone coming here tomorrow?
I do hope so.
Awesome. There is a deeper dive into Tessel with Drew, who's our head of products, and that's happening at Time.
On it.
Tools in action, 4 p.m. I think, going by memory, or 4:10-ish. If we scroll.
Day 2.
Yep, all the way to the bottom pretty much. I think it's the penultimate session before the keynotes. Search for Drew. There he is. So 4 p.m. Yeah, in the landing lower level. So other side, ground, the lower floor. He's going to be talking about a little bit deeper into Tessel, doing some demos and things like that, deeper than I did. We also have Gaipo, who's the founder and creator of Tessel, who's giving the keynote tomorrow morning first thing. So you can go into more depth and hear more about the vision from Gaipo himself.
And I'm pretty sure neither Drew or Gaipo are going to share their YouTube history.
Almost
with you.
certainly not.
So
Almost certainly not.
it's definitely going to be better than this.
Awesome. Thank you very much for attending, and we'll see you tomorrow as well. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.